Hello, welcome to the Executive Bite. My name is Kyle Rowland. So if you've been paying attention to the trade press over the last few days to social media, we've noticed something interesting happening. The Project Management Institute is choosing to absorb the Agile Alliance. Now, this is, if you've been a part of the debate, the Agile versus Waterfall project management debate over the last couple of decades, this sounds like it's a huge thing. Like project management is defeating Agile, Waterfall is the way. We've really made a decisive thing here. Maybe I'm overplaying it, but it certainly seems like there's some tectonic shift in how we're thinking about software process. And the reality is, it's not that big of a shift, at least not per unit time. It's not something that should come as a surprise. If we look at Agile, there's been posts and opining on the idea that Agile is dead for years. And that question is interesting and it's good clickbait, but the question maybe is more, is Agile as an idea useful? And the fact is that it really is. There were a lot of great ideas, a lot of powerful tools that emerged from the discussions that were happening at the turn of the millennium, and really powerful things toward the really useful goal of building software more effectively. Unfortunately, Agile as a term has gotten really tainted for what I think are three interesting reasons. The first is that in corporate settings, people will use a term and then shuttle in their agenda along with that term. And so we've seen Agile be used to describe situations that are almost antithetical to the ideas that were put forward in the manifesto early in the 2000s. And that really did a lot of damage because people start to expect that, Agile is just the same old thing, except we use weird terms and talk about things like ceremonies and sprints and iterations and things like this. So there was a lot of sort of semantic damage done to the term throughout the course of its use in corporate environments. And so that's probably the first, biggest, and most important of the 3 points. The second is that the manifesto itself, the thing that defined the Agile movement, which was brilliant, is showing its age. It's a little long in the tooth. There's two really important ways that you'll see this, not only in the ideas that it puts forward, but the way that they manifest in the people that are interested in it, that think about it, that talk about it. The first is that it really lends itself to an overemphasis on empiricism, and not just an overemphasis on empiricism, but a conflating of sort of two types of empiricism. So when we're building software, we most definitely have to be empirical. There's no way we can reason about something that we're creating from scratch, at least not in a end-to-end, a priori sort of fashion. But on the other hand, as we're thinking about process and how we work together and how we build our software and the way we do it, we can at this point, maybe we couldn't at the turn of the millennium, but we can at this point make comments about specifically what are the right ways to be building software. And we have a growing set of what these things are, why they are more effective, and that they are more effective. So there's less of a need to be empirical in that space. And the manifesto itself sort of blurs that line. And the practitioners, especially those that really bind themselves to the Agile brand, tend to really be hardline empiricists when they don't need to be. So they're really rediscovering the wheel at every turn. So that's the first one. The other one is that it really lends itself to looking at process in a vacuum. And so when we're building software, process is undoubtedly important, but it can't be looked at outside the context of architecture and clean code and test-driven development, all the other pieces that sort of tie together to make a good practice. There's been all sorts of elaboration about things like liberating structures and these other interesting sort of ways to collaborate that are totally in a vacuum with respect to actually even just delivering software. There was an argument going around 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer than that now, about, well, Agile is just a way to do any work. And that's manifestly false from the manifesto, but it's also useless. So even if the manifesto said this is something that should be used for everything, that would be useless to us as software developers because we have a very specific problem space that has solutions that are unique to that problem space. So again, the manifesto does come down sort of on the side of this is specifically for software development, but the way that it words its primary sort of directives and the 12 principles that follow is that it really doesn't dig in concretely enough, partly because we didn't really understand this as much 25 years ago as we do today, but partly because I won't try to judge their motives, but they were probably trying to leave it as open as possible because of the disagreement that still existed out in the industry at that time. So again, is Agile dead? That's not such a useful thing beyond clickbait. Is it useful? Yes. Is the term itself helpful? It can be really something if you're really trying to guide some change that can cause some problems. So if the term makes people recoil, don't use it. Understand the principles and use them instead. So this has been the Executive Bite. My name is Kyle Rowland. I thank you for spending the time listening. Hopefully this was useful. Have a good day, and I'll see you back again here next time.